Hmm. Good morning. Well, I think I read the right day today, March the 8th of 2017. But I will tell you that even after our morning, and I'd already started the video and um, realized that I'd read the wrong day, God continued to minister to me from the February 7th reading yesterday, and I'm grateful for that. Timely word that really helped yesterday. And I love how God will do that in advance. He will prepare us. God, a few years ago, gave my sister the phrase POP, preparation, order, and provision. And that's the way that God works. Preparation, order, provision. It's very similar to the seed time and harvest. But I love that he'll prepare us in advance for what is getting ready to happen. The Holy Spirit, part of the ministry of the Holy Spirit is he prepares us for what is to come. So anyway, today is March the 8th of 2017, and we're reading in Numbers, and they finished the tabernacle, and they're getting ready to set out. And so as we start the reading in verse 10 today, the Lord spoke to Moses saying, make 2 silver trumpets. Of hammered work you shall make them, and you shall use them for summoning the congregation and for breaking camp. In other words, they're going to use these trumpets to help guide them. And when both are blown, all the congregation shall gather themselves to you at the entrance of the tent of meeting. But if they blow only one, then the chiefs, the heads of the tribes of Israel, shall gather themselves to you. When you blow an alarm, the camps that are on the east side shall set out. And when you blow an alarm the second time, the camps that are on the south side shall set out. An alarm is to be blown whenever they are to set out. But when the assembly is to be gathered together, you shall blow a long blast, but you shall not sound an alarm. And the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall blow the trumpets. The trumpet shall be to you for a perpetual statute throughout your generations. And when you go to war in your land against the adversary who oppresses you, then you shall sound an alarm with the trumpets, that you may be remembered before the Lord your God, and you shall be saved from your enemies. And this morning, God revealed to me that that's the workings of the Holy Spirit within us. It's the Holy Spirit within us that will sound the alarm when danger is near. It's the Holy Spirit that's within us that will tell us when to set out and take that next step. It's the Holy Spirit within us that will tell us when it's time to stop and rest. Or it's the Holy Spirit in us that will tell us when it's time to stop and be still and know that it's God. And so it just brought new meaning to today's reading to realize he's describing the works of the Holy Spirit within us. And he ends verse 10, they shall be a reminder to you before your God, I am the Lord your God. And we're reminded of him today. And then it talks about the cloud lifted and the people of Israel set out by stages from the wilderness. And then when the tabernacle was taken down, they set out with a tabernacle. And I just, thoughts I just had this morning as I was reading, so here they are. They've had this, culminating excitement of building the temple and the tabernacle, and they've got it built, and now it's time to move on. And of course, God's presence is in a cloud by day and at fire at night. And so I was wondering, they've watched this tabernacle go up, and they've, looped the 50 loops that we read about on February the 7th, and all of the work that went into it, and all of their focus that went into it. And, they're focused on what they're supposed to be doing, just like every single day we focus on being good parents. We focus on being good citizens. We focus on being a good career person. That's what they did. And then down came the tabernacle, and they knew it was time to move. And in those moments, I was reminded of how it feels when God changes something, how it feels when God moves something, when it feels, I watched my daughter Carrie, who's been through more change in her life than all of us will ever experience our whole lives probably. And when we get ready to make a change within our household, I can just visibly see her tense up, and she'll start picking on her bottom lip because it makes her nervous, and change is hard for her, and it has to be communicated in a powerful way to her to get her to be comfortable and to make sure she has the right self-talk about what's getting ready to happen. And I was just reminded of this, that I just thought, how did they feel watching that tabernacle come down, and they're glancing up and they see the cloud and it moves, and they know where I'm here, where I've been, this comfortable place I've been, I'm not going to get to stay here. I got to go somewhere where I don't know what's out there. I don't know what's ahead of me. This is uncharted territory. They didn't know what was out before them. And it just, once again, I can so relate to it into my life today. Oh, and then guess what they do? So they set out. Read in verse 29 just a little bit. And Moses said to Hobab, the son of Reuel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, we are setting out for the place of which the Lord said, I will give it to you. Come with us, and we will do good for you. The Lord has promised good to Israel. So the words came of comfort, to comfort them about them setting out. And those words comforted me this morning. I mean, those are powerful words for me this morning, especially in light of events from the last 2 days. God saying, come, Elizabeth, I'm setting you out of the place where I said I will give it to you. I said I will give it to you, Elizabeth. Come, because we will do good for you. The Lord has promised good to you, Elizabeth. I love the way he makes it personal for me because with what's happened the last 2 days in our personal life, right here in Skiatook, Oklahoma, those words were absolutely relevant to a major life decision we had to make in the last 2 days. And it's a promise that he promised to give it to us. Did you happen to hear that, Tom? So whenever the ark set out, Moses said, arise, O Lord, reading in verse 35, and let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you. And when it rested, he said, return, O Lord, to the 10,000 thousands of Israel. Now, what you're watching before your very eyes right now today, I've got these marked. I don't know if you can see my pink highlights from when I read it earlier. I'm rereading it to you today to talk about why I put the pink highlights, and he's speaking to me all in a brand new way as I'm rereading this to you. And it's powerful, and I'm processing, and I'm hearing. I want to hear everything God's saying. So he just made this relevant to a huge decision we just made, and promised that it would be good, that he gave it to us. And now he's saying that as we step into that decision, oh Lord, let your enemies be scattered. So Moses said, so God said through Moses to the people. So God is speaking to Tom and Elizabeth to arise and let our enemies be scattered. He's telling us that there is no enemy can come close to us in this decision and in this next move in our life. And let those who hate you flee before you. And when it rested, he said, return, O Lord, to the 10,000 thousands of Israel. Wow. Man, I love how he'll speak into our lives. And one of the reasons I highlighted it back to my original thought about it is that there was 10,000 thousands. That's a lot of people that Moses was directing. And then we start chapter 11. And this is, I know this is a caution to Tom and I. And the people complained in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortunes. The people complained. Here he's rained down manna in a supernatural way. He's provided a cloud of glory to guide them by day and a fire at night to protect them. But most of all, to give them physical evidence of his presence with them. And what did they do? They grumbled and complained. Oh, the bills are too high. Oh, the taxes are too high. Oh, the upkeep's too high. And the people complained in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortunes. And when the Lord heard it, his anger was kindled. Don't think our words aren't important. And his anger was kindled. And then let's move down to verse 10 in chapter 11. Moses heard the people weeping throughout their clans, everyone at the door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord blazed hotly. That takes it to a whole new level, folks, about our grumbling and complaining. Now, it doesn't just make God angry, the grumbling and complaining. His anger blazes hotly. And Moses was displeased. Of course, if God's displeased, Moses better be displeased. And Moses said to the Lord, now let's look at it from Moses' perspective. Moses is the one that hears from God. Moses is the one that hears from the people. Have you ever felt like you're the all in all? I mean, that it all rests on you? Well, you know what? I wake up this morning, and if my wife's not happy, then our kids aren't happy. And so then I know God's not happy, and just a state of chaos starts. Nothing's going right. And you feel like the weight of the world's on your shoulders. Well, that's how Moses was feeling. So God's already angry. He's blazing hot. And the people are crying and murmuring and complaining, and there's poor Moses in the middle. And this is Moses' response. Moses said to the Lord, "Why have you dealt ill with your servant? And why have I not found favor in your sight?" Oh, have we not said those things? If not out loud, in our heart. But God, I'm supposed to be favored. But Lord, this shouldn't be hard. But I do love the response that God gives him here to a degree. Why have I not found favor in your sight, God, that you lay the burden of all this people on me? Did I conceive all this people? Did I give birth to them that you should say to me, carry them into your bosom as a nurse carries a nursing child? Go to the land that you swore to give their fathers. Where am I to get meat to give to all these people? For they weep before me and say, give us meat that we may eat. I'm not able to carry all this people alone. The burden is too great for me. It's too heavy. If you will treat me like this, kill me. I'd rather die if I find favor in your sight, that I may not see my wretchedness. Boy, we've all been there. I mean, the burden is so heavy. The stress is so strong. The worry just wears us out. The anxiety is about to just cause us to burst at the seams. We've been there, haven't we? And we've cried out before. Then the Lord said to Moses, gather for me 70 men. Now listen to this. Gather for me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know. That's important. Whom you know to be the elders of the people and officers over there, and bring them to the tent of meeting, and let them take their stand there with you. And I will come down and talk with you there. And I will take some of the spirit that is on you and put it on them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with you, so that you may not bear it yourself alone. That's a powerful message for us today. Now let me point out just a few differences of Old Covenant versus New Covenant. We don't have to wait for God to come down and talk to us, and we don't have to share some of the spirit that's on us with others, because the same spirit that's in me is in you, and the same spirit that's in me is in him. It's his spirit that's in me. So therefore, he's telling us not to forsake the gathering of the saints. He is telling us not to be an island. He's telling Moses, you're a mighty man of God, but you're not that mighty. He's telling Moses, I heard your cry. I am here to help you. And God is saying to you today, what do you have in your hand? Whose hand are you holding in this life that I have given you? It's got to be the people that God has given you and has my spirit in them. I've given them that spirit to help make your burden less. Ecclesiastes 3:3 says two are better than one, so that their burden is light. So the load is light. And it's a reminder to us not to shoulder the burden all alone, that we're to share the burden. Oh, this is just such good stuff on how to live our life every single day. Anyway, I'm going to stop right there. It's just powerful. I really want you to reflect about where you're at in your life and what's causing you stress, and about decisions you have to make and the next chapter that God has for you. And I'm reminded of the word he gave me this year, launch. Tom and I are being launched. And as that tabernacle came down and they're looking and going, oh, everything I know is fixing to change. The very place where I go to for comfort is no longer going to be there. God's launching us. He was launching them. The cloud picked up and moved. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that God will speak to me so powerfully through the scriptures. And he's no respecter of persons. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is the spirit that lives in you. And I'm just this morning reminded that really and truly at this point, the biggest sin, perhaps the only sin that you and I have to even bother ourselves with, is the sin of unbelief. Unbelief. You know, I'll pick my spouse because God might not pick the right one. I'll pick my job because God might have me do something that's not as much fun or I don't feel as rewarded in. I'll pick the house I live in because God may wait too long. It's unbelief. It's unbelief. I'll smoke this one joint to relax because the Holy Spirit's not strong enough to relax me. I'll take this pill because I just can't get rid of that anxiety. God's just not quite big enough to get rid of my anxiety. And the list just goes on and on and on. And I'm the biggest guilty one of all. No, I don't take pills. No, I don't drink. No, I don't do drugs. But my unbelief, I'm as guilty as all. But you know what? He's changing me right before your eyes. He's transforming me with the words on this paper today. I was supposed to read February 7th yesterday. And today I was supposed to read March 8th. And he will make it that real for you. Just continue the journey. Read the days you're able to read. I thought I would be 15 minutes too late today. I was 30 minutes late today. And I'm not stressing over it, and I'm not going to get caught up in guilt and condemnation. Is that God's best? No. My yes is to be yes. My no is to be no. And when I make a commitment to you that we have Bible study at 8:30, I should be on here at 8:30. And I'm going to. He's doing a work in me. He is doing a work in me. And I don't mind sharing that with you. And there's my phone. So I'll sign off for now.